if anybody's been following the drama that Ken Ham's been up to lately with his Ark Park, because if we've done many stories on this bullshit and the fact that he gained all this extra tax incentive money from the city and the state and everything. So anyway, Williamstown, Kentucky officials are instituting a safety fee. We talked about this last time for the attractions in the city, because they're going to use that they were going to charge about 50 cents per ticket to Ken Ham. Additional, because he's the one that claims he gets about 1.4 million visitors a year. And so they said, oh, great. So we're going to say that, how does a 700,000 sound for what money you should pay for? So that should only be 50 cents a ticket. So,
yeah, you know, for safety, for making sure that
buys fire trucks and police cars for the city. And this is stuff that every business in the area would have to do, especially ones that are ticketed, things like this. So the creationists at the Ark Encounter said that they should be exempt from that charge because they run a non-profit ministry. And we've talked about this before, like I said. Up until now, the Ark Encounter has been a legally for-profit business in order to receive a number of tax incentives from the city. That's why the officials in Williamstown figured they could ask them to pay up for the money. And city leaders are now bracing.
They should. Yeah.
They're bracing for a lawsuit from the very organization that was supposed to serve the local economy, because Ken Ham and the Ark Encounter just took a very bold step to avoid paying that 50-cent surcharge.
Fucking ballsy as shit.
Yeah, the Lexington Herald leaders, Linda Blackford, wrote in the article, the team behind the Ark Encounter recently sold the land on which the giant boat rests on for a whopping $10.
God damn it. The balls. Just the fucking balls on these people.
The LLC sold its main parcel of land, the one with the giant ark on it, for $10 to their nonprofit affiliate, Crosswater Canyon. Although the property is worth about $48 million, according to the property valuation administrator, the deed says the value is only $18.5 million. Still, a very long fucking distance away from $10. So the Ark Encounter used its for-profit status to receive all sorts of tax breaks, and the creationists told Williamstown officials that they ran a nonprofit ministry to avoid paying more taxes. And now they're basically confessing that they were a for-profit business this whole time because they just sold the boat to the nonprofit that oversaw it.
Yeah. No, I fucking hope they get sued over this. Because that's... Fuck. Oh, fuck. That's criminal right there. I don't know any other way to put it. That's fucking criminal what they did.
So what they're doing is Williamstown gave the creationists a whole bunch of cheap land.
Yeah.
And tax breaks galore over the next few decades, with the hope that the Ark Encounter would eventually create jobs, bring in tourists who would spend money in surrounding businesses.
Right. And a lot of that was based off information that they provided.
Yeah, that Ken and his ilk sold to people.
Right. They said, look, here are all the numbers for people who have shown an interest, the number of people involved, the people who say they'll come to visit.
Oh, 1.4 million, as he likes to tout.
Right.
But we've been talking about this for so fucking long.
Yeah. They were using a lot of the figures they were using were based off the Creation Museum. But it looks like they were fabricating those numbers as well.
Yeah. So what's happening, instead of doing all those wonderful things that a business should do, like a big attraction like that should do for the city around it, Ken Ham is paying them back by restricting jobs to his anti-gay creationist buddies, threatening to sue the city over the safety fee, and finding a way to possibly withhold taxes that would fund local schools. And Mayor Rick Skinner said that losing all of the Ark Encounter's property taxes would hurt the city, hurt the county, and most of all, the schools. Because just imagine how much property taxes they would get off of a parcel of land for $18.5 million. So Skinner said that he is disappointed on how much the town's relationship with Ark officials has, quote-unquote, deteriorated. But he said he would wait to comment further until Tuesday's meeting. And guess what? It's past Tuesday.
Past Tuesday, and your relationship was never that good to begin with.
So Dan Arrow,
was based off lies.
Dan Arrow, the guy that broke a lot of the news about the Ark Park, has told, he put it up on his website saying that it's not a secret that Ken Ham doesn't understand numbers. but he is hell-bent on proving this by screwing himself out of a potential $18 million in tax rebates to save $700,000.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, like we said there, the Crosswater Canyon bought it for $10, and there's a letter that was sent to the Ark Encounter attorneys, and it said, "It has come to our attention that your client, Ark Encounter LLC, is in breach of its tourism development agreement with the Commonwealth. And on July 10th, 2017, the Tourism, Arts, and Heritage Cabinet became aware of a claim transferring the deed to the Ark Project land with all of the privileges and appurtenances to the same from Ark Encounter which is a for-profit company, to Crosswater Canyon." I already said that. "We believe that your client is aware that they may not be eligible for state tax incentives if the Ark Project is owned by a nonprofit legal entity. Answers in Genesis, the parent company of Crosswater Canyon and Ark Encounter, clearly states on its website the for-profit LLC structure also allows the Ark Encounter to be eligible for blah, 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 blah. It's trying to say, like, look, if you're going to sell the land to a church and we're not going to get our property taxes and shit, say goodbye to that $18 million in sales tax breaks we were going to give you."
Yeah. Is as well it should.
And so what it boils down to here is that there's only one explanation, as Dan puts it here, as to why Ham would knowingly do this. Ark Encounter sales numbers would have to be so low that he knows that he would make less than the $700,000 he is trying to save by becoming a nonprofit park. The $18 million rebate is based on sales tax collected at the park. If the park is reimbursed that tax is collected up to $18 million. So if they projected that over the next few years, their rebate would still be less than $700,000. They would have felt the nonprofit move would make more sense. So what he's trying to say is, like, they realized they weren't going to make $18 million in sales tax like breaks. So they're planning on taking the hit. They weren't going to take the $700,000 hit because they weren't going to be selling enough to actually come up with that.
Yeah, because nobody wants to go see an Ark. Nobody. Especially a dry dock one. If it were maybe floating on the water and it were like a floating Ark, maybe that'd be something.
And you had like live animals in it, and doing that kind of thing. And
no, it's fucking. No. They've got an animatronic fucking dinosaur. They have an animatronic dinosaur
and dioramas. Oh man! So I think that the state and the city should be in the process of reviewing all of their benefits handed to them when the park was sold to them as a tourism venture, because they said that it was going to benefit the community, which is now not the case. It's not going to be benefiting them at all. So they should be looking at, okay, what money can we recoup from this? Because they're going to they've already fucked us out of our land.
Yeah.
And now they're going to fuck us out of anything future tax income wise. So it's just, that seems like complete bullshit for a person, for someone.
That's what they do.
They got this cheap land. Out of money. They got cheap land. And then they, like, instead of, being honest about it, they're like, well, we're just going to transfer this over to some $10. So I hope somebody gets some jail time over this. Ken Ham needs to go to fucking prison.
Yeah, he
Maybe
does.
That's why he's hanging out in Australia so much, trying to avoid all this shit.
Fuck. Yeah, go back to Australia.
Yeah, they don't even want him there either. We have breaking news. Like, literally, we're finishing the show tonight, and Ken Ham has posted some shit to Facebook about explaining why he's so upset about everything. Anyway, he said, media and bloggers are out of control regarding the Ark. You may have read reports and blogs that have misrepresented and or lied about AIG's dealings with local officials who have imposed a new city tax that places almost the entire tax burden on our ministry. Sir, you're the only ticketed thing in that city. That's why they are imposing that onto you, because you are the giant fucking attraction that they bet the farm on. Here is what we are sharing with the media when they ask us about the matter. Because the new ordinance passed by the city of Williamstown essentially singled out the Ark Encounter to shoulder nearly all the burden for additional safety services that will benefit the entire community and not just the Ark, you don't get to pay into things just to benefit you.
No, that's not how it works. That's not how tax burden works. That's not. The fuck is wrong with you Aussie prick?
It says here, this is actually coming from Mark Loy, the CCO of the Answers in Genesis. Says, because the new ordinance. Oh wait, we already said that part. And he also says, and because the ordinance's wording concerning exemptions to the safety fee, we needed to keep our options open to protect the organization for the future. We have always said we want to pay our fair share for safety services, and we believe that we had made a highly reasonable counterproposal to the city council. It has always been our desire to be a partner in helping grow the economy of a community that welcomed us so kindly. We are saddened that the city council did not extend the courtesy of discussing this ordinance with us further before passing it and taking it public, which was not willing to negotiate it further. We are thankful that even with over 1 million art guests who have already come to Williamstown in just over a year, over 1 million in just over a year, that says to me that's less than 1.4 million.
That many. That's not that many.
A number of calls from the Ark Encounter for emergency services has been quite small for now.
Yeah.
Because
that doesn't matter.
And so Hemant here goes into dissecting it a bit. He says the number of calls, he's like, that's nice, but that's irrelevant. If people are coming to Williamstown these days, it's inevitably to visit the Ark. If there are health scares in Williamstown, they're more likely to happen to people who are visiting the Ark. So even if it hasn't happened very often so far, the city needs to be ready to act in case emergency situations arise. Man, I can't believe that they're doubling down on this shit. You did wrong because you don't want to admit that your park's not doing as well as it is. My God, these people are just so fucking full of it. I don't
get it either. I just don't. I mean, I shouldn't be surprised because these are the people who thought building a giant ark would be a tourist attraction. That's a fucking roadside attraction at best.
Even with zip lines and a petting zoo, it's just like that. Most of those are roadside attractions usually. So
yeah, it's shit that you stop at that doesn't really cost you anything.
So Ken Ham and his team didn't want to pay that $700,000 coming from the Ark Encounter. So they tried to cap their donations at $350,000, then $500,000, and then nothing at all. That's when they pulled that $10 fucking nonprofit company they owned prank that happened. And which is funny because the city can rewrite the rules in that city to say that nonprofits also have to contribute the safety fee. So, which is something I hope they do. I hope they change shit around. That'll be great. Man, it's just the balls on these people to think that they can just get away with this shit, and they're gonna walk away with it unless people in Williamstown go, "Hey, yeah, hold their fucking feet to the fire. These people are ripping us off."
Right? It's not. They built a fucking theme park. That they're trying to build a fucking theme park that has nothing to do with ministry or the church, anything. It is a fucking theme park.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with God. It's your God-based encounter, with an ark. Oh, look, it's a big wooden structure. Cool. See that anywhere.
Galaxy.